If you're planning to put your home on the market, especially as a first-time seller, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed and unsure where to start. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the process and some common mistakes to avoid, so stay with me. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Andrea Delancy, a realtor here in the Jacksonville, Northeast Florida area. I work with a lot of first-time sellers, and I hear all the time how the idea of putting your home on the market can feel like a lot, but it doesn't have to be. Today, I'm going to take you through the process step by step so you know exactly what to expect. And I'm also going to talk about how to avoid some of the most common mistakes I see sellers make. Let's get right to it. Choosing the real estate agent you're going to work with is one of the most important steps, and it really should be first because they're going to help you, guide you through the entire process, and you want to get their expert advice and recommendations from the very beginning. When interviewing agents, in my opinion, the most important factors to consider are their level of experience and how well they communicate. How long have they been a realtor in your area? Is this their full-time job? And how many homes do they sell in a year? That's important because an agent who's been licensed for 10 years but only does 5 transactions a year is not going to have the same level of knowledge as a newer agent who does 30 transactions a year. Experience and knowledge is so important because a lot of things can happen over the course of a transaction. And a great agent should be able to anticipate a lot of those potential issues, and they'll know the best way to resolve them. Having an agent who's a great communicator is also a big factor. Your agent should be easy to talk to and connect with, eager to answer all your questions and concerns. They should make you feel that they're invested in giving you the best results and the best experience. They're there to help you feel confident at every stage, and they do that by making sure you know exactly what to expect and just educating you on all your options so you can make the best decisions for you. They should also respond to calls, texts, and emails in a reasonable time and be willing to give you regular updates throughout the entire process. And this is a big one, because I'll tell you, going through any period of time where you just don't know what's happening and you can't get a hold of your agent to get answers is a terrible feeling to have. If they're slow to respond from the start, that's probably a red flag. Okay, so you've chosen your agent, and now it's time to come up with a marketing plan. The first step is to talk about your goals with selling your home, your desired time frame. What are your plans and how will that affect the sale? Now, if you're planning to buy another home and coordinate the 2 moves, it's going to require some extra planning. Be sure to check out my other video on how to sell and buy without becoming homeless here. So part of my process with my sellers is to do a thorough walkthrough of the home together. I want you to show me everything you love about your home and even what hasn't worked for you, because that may be something potential buyers will notice too, and we just want to be cognizant of any challenges that we might have. If I notice something like that, I'm going to bring it to your attention as well. Together we'll come up with a list of my recommendations for things that need to be done prior to the home going on the market, and maybe some things that you don't necessarily need to worry about. Here's another common mistake I run into is sellers will assume they need to make a bunch of upgrades before they sell. And sometimes when I come in, I have to let them know that those upgrades may not add as much value as they thought. So get the advice of an agent before you make improvements. Next, when it comes to pricing, your agent should give you all the information you need about local market trends. What other homes in your area are selling for and how they compare to yours. What's the average days on the market? Things like list price versus actual sales price. And based on all of that, they'll give you a recommended price range to list your home at. And then ultimately it's up to you as the seller to determine the price. One of the most common mistakes I see sellers make is not listening to what the market data is telling them when it comes to pricing the home. Remember, your agent doesn't determine the price. Their job is to give you the market data and help you interpret it. It's easy to let your emotions take over here and think that your home is worth more. But unless you have some significantly better features or upgrades, keep your price in line with the other recent sales because that's telling you what buyers are willing to pay. And if you have questions about how some of your upgrades or special features will affect the value, that's definitely something to discuss with your agent. Along with the price recommendation, I'm also going to let you know how much you can expect to net from the sale after normal seller's expenses in your market. And you should get a breakdown of those numbers, again, so you know what to expect. Once you've agreed on a price and you have your to-do list, that's when you'll get the professional photos and a video walkthrough set up, decide on a date to go live on the market. You'll go over other marketing strategies like social media or print advertising, open houses, and you'll want to discuss how your home will be shown to potential buyers. It's also important to discuss at that time how you'll be kept aware of any feedback agents or buyers will give you after showings. Remember what I mentioned before about communication. Getting regular updates is crucial so you know whether or not you need to consider adjustments along the way. Once your home goes live on the market, obviously the goal is to get an offer. Hopefully you and your agent have come up with a strong marketing plan that gets your home under contract fairly quickly. You should be monitoring the showing activity and feedback, and you should have an idea of what constitutes a good amount of showings per week. And that's based on the market data you reviewed with your agent before. And you should be getting at least weekly updates to review any feedback and get further recommendations. Once you do receive an offer, your agent will go over all the details of the terms and what they mean for you. And just educate you on what your options are for any areas of negotiations. This is where that experience comes in handy, taking into account all the current market conditions and knowing how to negotiate strongly on your behalf to help you get the best possible outcome. All right, congratulations, you're officially under contract. Once you have a purchase agreement in place with your buyers, you'll have agreed on a date to close, and that can be as quick as 10 days if your buyers are paying cash, or if there's financing involved and the buyers are getting a mortgage, a closing date is usually set between 30 and 60 days out. The next steps are really on the buyers to do their due diligence. The purchase agreement allows a certain number of days. Here in our market, it's 10 days. For buyers to have third-party inspections done. That's where a home inspector comes in and checks all the systems of the home to make sure everything is working properly. They can also take that time to further check out the area or the neighborhood, the schools, review homeowners association documents, or any other concerns they might have. That due diligence time is for the buyers to determine that they are satisfied with the home and they want to move forward. And if they decide for whatever reason they don't want to move forward, they have to give you notice of cancellation within that time period. This is also the time frame where the buyers can request repairs to be done if the home inspection reveals any issues. So repair requests are another area of negotiations. As a seller in our area, you're not obligated to make any repairs. But depending on what they are and the cost, it might make sense to agree to all or even just some of them. You and your agent will discuss all the options and decide what's in your best interest. One of the mistakes I see sellers make here is to be completely unwilling to consider repairs. Sometimes it just makes more sense to try to reach an agreement both parties can be happy with. While all that is going on, the title company or real estate attorney who will be handling the closing will also be coordinating with the buyer's lender the real estate agents, and the buyers and sellers themselves to prepare all the necessary paperwork that goes along with transferring ownership of the property. While you're under contract too, the buyers will be taking all the next steps with their loan approval. The contract allows them a certain period of time to complete the loan approval process, and that will also include getting the appraisal. The appraisal is ordered by the buyer's lender, and that's to determine the value of the home. In order for the loan to get approved, the property has to be appraised at or above the agreed upon purchase price. Now, sometimes this is where issues can come up and where pricing your home correctly comes into play. An appraiser determines the value based on the most recent sales and the most similar sales that are also within the closest proximity. If the home doesn't appraise, there are some different ways to handle that, but it's going to be very specific to your situation, and it can just add another level of unnecessary stress. So if you can avoid that, of course, that's going to be ideal. Okay, so assuming you've gotten through all the steps involved while the home is under contract, next you're on to the final stage. So the home has appraised at the purchase price. Your buyers have gotten their final loan approval and are cleared to close. And you've successfully negotiated and completed any agreed upon repairs. You're ready to close. Based on the anticipated closing date, you'll know when you should be all moved out and have the home ready for the buyers. The buyers will schedule a final walkthrough, usually the day before or the day of closing, just to make sure the home is empty, it's clean, and it's in the same condition prior to them taking ownership. The closing itself usually takes about a half an hour for sellers. These days, sellers in most cases don't attend the signing with the buyers. I'm either having my sellers sign remotely or I'm scheduling them to go in a few days ahead of time. It's just faster and more convenient. And once the buyers sign on the official closing date and the loan is finalized, your funds are wired directly to your bank and you get copies of all the paperwork. So now you have successfully sold your home. So that's it, guys. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. I post new videos weekly on living the Jacksonville lifestyle, the local market, and lots of other tips for buyers and sellers. Go ahead and like and subscribe to stay in the loop. I'll see you next time.